Interesting. Look at the Ethereum price, 1337. I guess we're going up. Hey, what's up, guys? So currently there's a battle going on between the Winklevoss twins and Barry Silbert. So I want to give you an update on this whole drama here. So in case you don't know, the Winklevoss twins, they founded, well, Facebook originally, but then Mark Zuckerberg took it away and Mark Zuckerberg became billionaire, and now Winklevoss twins are very, well, salty, and they started a crypto exchange called, well, what's that called? Called Gemini. So there's a current drama in which the twins have lost $900 million of customers' funds. How did that happen? Well, they did it with a program called Gemini Earn. And that is something I warned you about in this video from all the way a month ago. That was before the collapse. And the Earn program is basically you lend Gemini your hard-earned cash and convert it to Gemini USD, and they lend it out to a third party, and they guarantee you a high return. So how much was it? Well, during the height of crypto, it was about 7 to 8%. That was very, very good, and a lot of people put their life savings, over $100,000. I saw $300,000. A ton of people put their life savings in this because the twins were promising them 7% return. Well, what happened? Well, as you know, there's no such thing as high yield in crypto because it's an asset. Well, it's something, crypto doesn't generate anything. So if you put the money in crypto, they have to do something in order to generate that return. And in this case, they lend it out to a hedge fund called Genesis. And Genesis pretty much operates as a hedge fund and promises high return to all the investors, including Gemini, to all the investors indirectly via Gemini. What does Gemini do? They take a small cut when you lend the money out to Genesis. So that's how they make money. They're the middleman. So think about that. You give Genesis your money, Genesis lend it out you give your money to Gemini, Gemini give it to Genesis in return for a small cut. Now, you take on all the risk. Now, one thing I mentioned in that video before is that you should look at all the fine prints of these programs. Whenever you have something that looks too good to be true, read these tiny statements. Because back then, well, as of right now, Gemini has removed all mentions of the word earn on their website. But back then, if you look at their website, they have tiny prints. It says Gemini is not responsible for all the losses. You, the customer, will take on all the risk in doing so. That's why they were able to give you a high return. Now, remember the mantra, high risk, high reward. So if you're able to get 7% back, there has to be a huge, huge risk in that investment. Well, a lot of people don't do the reading and they don't do risk assessments. And in the end, that's why we're here. Everybody lost their money, and up to $900 million are now unaccounted for. If you go into the Gemini subreddit, you see that they are starting to band together to start lawsuits, to sue the twins, to sue Barry Silbert. Barry Silbert is the CEO of the parents company of Genesis, the trading firm that's taking your money. And that's the CEO. So what is the problem right now? Well, everybody's trying to sue these guys to try to get their money back. And what's happening is that these guys are not taking responsibilities. The twins are blaming this guy, while this guy is blaming the twins. He's trying to avoid the situation. They're just Spider-Man. They're pointing at each other, trying to blame each other for the risk of losing the $900 million. So, and the new thing came out today is that Gemini has officially terminated the MLA with Genesis. That means they are no longer do business, no longer doing earn with the company because they were not able to pay the customer back. Gemini is going full blame mode on Genesis at the moment, and apparently this has no impact on their ability to pursue resolution for you to recover your asset. So the PR from Gemini is that they're doing their best to try to recover your fund. They're doing the best to try to, get lawyers or something. So whenever you have lawyers involved in situations like this, you're probably not going to get your full money back because the lawyer is going to take a huge cut. So if you, let's say for every dollar you invested in Gemini Earn, you're probably going to get like a couple of cents back. You're not going to get the full dollar back. So that's what's happening. But the argument is that doing so is better than not getting anything back. So, and I do think that Gemini is going to take on a huge publicity from this. And if it doesn't end well, if people don't get their money back, I question the existence of Gemini as an exchange, because no one would trust in them, no one would use them, and in the end they will probably go bankrupt. And that's my prediction. So what is the another news? Well, today Cameron Winklevoss, one of the twins, sent an open letter to the board of DCGCO. So what is DGCO? That's Digital Currency Group. That is the parent company of Genesis Trading, where Barry Silbert is the CEO. So he's saying here is he's recounting everything that happened, and basically he's saying that we had 340 earned customers from Gemini, and they lent the money to Genesis, and then Barry Silbert is the CEO. So what's happening? He's claiming that after the 3AC collapse, now that was a while ago. Remember Zuzu? Well, remember Zuzu is actually on Twitter right now blaming Genesis as well. So when 3AC collapsed, that's where the whole thing happened. So here in this letter, he's talking about what happened. Basically, Genesis lent $2.36 billion to 3AC when 3AC put up a really shitty collateral for them. So it was a high-risk lending scheme to 3AC because 3AC promises to return a huge return on investment on the 2.36 billion, and then that money will in turn go back to the Gemini Earn users. So that's how you yield your 7%. So in the end, it all went to 3AC, and 3AC, as you know, blew up. It went belly up in June 2022, and that whole collateral was liquidated, and they were not able to recover the full $2 billion. They were hit with a loss of $1.2 billion. So basically, in this letter, he's saying that at this point, Barry Silbert, the CEO of the Digital Currency Group, parent company of Genesis, saying he's claiming that Barry Silbert was being deceptive. They say that, oh, there's no problem. We are gonna eat the loss from 3AC. Your funds are safe. Now, famous last words from all the scammers in DeFi. Your funds are safe, or deploy more capital. In the case of Duquan. But basically, what's happening here is he's claiming that we're good. We're still good with 3AC. Don't worry. When 3AC collapsed. And then he said there's tons of lies behind the scenes. So apparently they mentioned to Gemini that all this balance sheet is totally fine. We're using the DCG balance sheet to offset the losses, and you shouldn't be worried about. And then there was accounting fraud, crazy stuff. This is like behind the scene communication between Gemini and Genesis. So. And then there was just so much stuff here. So basically, how they would get there? Well, when 3AC collapsed, the house of cards collapsed. And basically, what the Genesis was doing, Digital Coin Group, they're trying to hide the fact that they actually lost that much, and they were not able to recover that loss. They try to drag it out. They try to drag it out until the Bitcoin price goes up, but it's very apparent because they are actually the owner of the Gray Trust, the GBTC, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. That's a big trust. It's a public trust ticker, and they make a ton of money from management fee for that fund. So what's happening is before it was a high demand. It was a great fund. A lot of people want it, and this ticker was trading at a premium of Bitcoin price. So let's say Bitcoin is worth $17,000, GBTC would trade at maybe $20,000 as a premium because a lot of people want to get in. But now at the moment, GBTC is trading way below the price of Bitcoin because people think that they don't have trust in Grayscale, and they think that Grayscale cannot pay out all the Bitcoins in the ticker. So that is the problem right now, and that's there's a lot of deception going on. So basically, Cameron Winklevoss is calling for the CEO Barry Silbert to step down as DCG because Barry Silbert refused to work with Cameron Winklevoss to recover the funds for the users. So he's calling them to step down. So that is the current drama with these guys. They were actually butt heads before on Twitter. And I think Barry Silbert tweeted out something that's like totally dodging the question. And Cameron, he's trying to appear as the guy who's fighting for the people, but I think he should also take some responsibility because he didn't do his due diligence on on the company, and he wants to make money from the Gemini Earn program, and in return giving the customer fund to somebody. And in the end, he's not taking any risk for doing this because the customer agreed to take on the risk by lending the money out. So he's not at fault here. I mean, he's not totally innocent here. So he should take some responsibility, maybe put out some of his own money in order to try to recover the customer fund if he wants Gemini to have any trust in the future. So Barry Dilbert actually tweeted out some nonsense today, and there's like 10 tweets about random stuff that, I don't know, he didn't address any of the things that Cameron addressed there. So I'll link the tweet in the description below. But yeah, he's just like, oh yeah, we're going to get together, we're going to go do this, blah, blah, blah. Really, the whole tweet is about nothing. So that is the status of this current event for this Gemini craziness. I will keep you updated, but I think in the end, Barry Silbert is probably going to leave, and DCG might go bankrupt, and then nobody get their money back, and in the end, Gemini might go bankrupt as well. So that's what I think, and let me know what you think about this whole thing below, and give me your predictions.